Hello everyone, welcome again. This is Aluminum Tarot. I'm going to be reading the cards today for Taurus, Sun, Moon and Rising. We'll be doing a different type of spread here called the Black Mirror spread, which will allow us to peer into the most significant narcissistic relationship that you've had to deal with. Before I get started, before we also get into the cards, what I'd like to talk about is that when we deal with situations like narcissism, narcissistic abuse, these are in essence kind of black mirror situation, which allow us to understand ourselves, our most dark shadow sides to our personality and our psyche, in order to integrate those into healthier, happier relationships in the near future. We'll get into a little bit more of that throughout the spread, but that's the basis for it. I mean, these people come into our lives due to either a lack of proper boundaries or potentially, lack of self-love, things of that nature. And what they do is they recalculate that specific imbalance in your own particular energies by forcing you to learn those Saturnine lessons that allow you to rectify those situations in your life, to rectify those energetic imbalances. So that said, we're going to get into the spread. Once again, if this reading resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Please ding the notification bell. Also, if you'd like a personal reading, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. And thirdly, also, if you find any scammers about posing as tarot card readers, trying to offer you a reading via WhatsApp or Telegram or any of these types of things, or in comments in the comment section, please block and report them. They are scams, and we don't want them to steal from the hard-earned work that a lot of these tarot card readers are doing in the tarot community. That said, we're going to read the spread, and hopefully this reading will resonate for you and at least offer you some insights into these specific relationship that you have had to face in your life. So let us begin. This is for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. I'm going to read the narcissistic spread, the Black Mirror spread. Let's begin. What does Taurus need to know about their narcissistic relationship? Sun, Moon, and Rising. What does Taurus need to learn about their narcissistic relationship? Sun, Moon, and Rising. Taurus. What does Taurus need to learn about their narcissistic relationship? Sun, Moon, and Rising. All right, let's get into it. So, the lesson. Okay. How did the relationship begin? How did the relationship progress? How did the relationship end? What was the initial attraction? What was the intent of the narcissist? Oops. Okay, I'll take that. What is the codependency on your side? What was the codependency on the other person's side, the narcissist side? What were the coping tactics of the Taurus? What were the abuse tactics of the narcissist? How did you pull away from the relationship? What was the hoovering or the control tactics of the person involved? Right. What was the protection that you offered yourself to keep the narcissist away? Protection. What was the discard tactic that the narcissist used? Yep. How do you close the cycle for this specific relationship? Okay. Bottom of the deck, you have the Ten of Cups. This is essentially the energy that you were looking for in this relationship. Unfortunately, that does not come until after you let the relationship go, because this is what we don't see coming into our future. Releasing this relationship is the only way that you are going to find your happiness. So we're going to start with the basics here. And the first thing that we see here is the Seven of Pentacles. This is the lesson that you need to learn. What is it that you are investing in that is actually worthwhile? And us being Tauruses, I am a Taurus myself. What is it precisely that we are investing in, whether that is through monetary means, physical means, investing in time, energy, and value systems as well. This is an important lesson for you to learn. I think the Capricorn also got the Queen of Pentacles, which is seemingly resonating with a lot of the people in the earth signs that I've read for thus far. So what we're noticing here is that in this particular lesson specifically, you are learning how to invest properly, wisely in the right things that will lead to a growth and abundance. Because after the Seven of Pentacles, there's the Eight of Pentacles, where he's fashioning that eighth pentacle. And here, it's the Six of Pentacles. He's given his Six of Pentacles, his time, energy, and efforts. And there's one more pentacle down here that he needs to pick up and then learn how to invest in the next phase of his life. So that said, when you do this, maybe in the past you gave to the wrong things, you invested in the wrong people, and you realize that the investment did not pay off. And so in this particular post-relationship situation, you are now learning how to invest wisely and properly. If a person was investing in the stock market, they would not invest in things that do not give them a proper return. They would dispose of those and they would move on to a new type of investment. You have to have the same mentality with your love life as well. So moving on, we found, how did the relationship begin? The relationship began with a lot of attention. You felt that you had found victory with this person. You had a lot of adventure. You received a lot of praise, a lot of kind words, a lot of attention from the person that you initially came in contact with. This was the facade that this person put on to you, someone who was actually able to give to the relationship, to shower you with praises and gifts, things of that nature that would allow you to feel loved. And that played into your psyche quite well. But however, as the relationship progressed, you saw that the person was becoming a bit more cold, distant, detached, and to a degree, emotionally manipulative. They would do things to probably gaslight you. They would probably say things and say, oh, well, I didn't say that. Or, they would just shut off and go into their corner of the room and not say anything to you, leaving you confused. So normally the King of Cups in the upright is someone that is emotionally available and balanced. In the reverse, this is a person who is emotionally cold, aloof, distant, and someone that is also emotionally abusive or neglectful in some ways, or altogether manipulative. So that is how they began to show their face. They went from showering you with praises to showering you with insults, to a lack of a better phrase. Finally, the relationship ended when both of you refused to take a risk on the future together. And it was kind of a digging in your heels in both of the situations. More so on your side, you being a Taurus, and being, when people push you to the limits, you then dig your heels in, or you're going to charge at them. You say, no, I'm not going to take any more risk on this relationship. I'm ducking out. I'm no longer invested in this. As we see with the Seven of Pentacles, that's the lesson that you needed to learn. You're not taking any more risk on someone who is not giving to the relationship. So initially, we see that there were some things that, you found exciting about the relationship. Now, we're going to peer into this a little bit because you have the Ten of Pentacles reversed. Now, the way I see this, rather than you worrying about digging your heels in and building a legacy for yourself, I think you just wanted some adventure and a little bit of fun. I kind of see this as kind of like the Hierophant reverse, where instead of building that Ten of Pentacles that leaves something long-lasting, either A, you wanted to pull back from a particular period in your life, and you wanted to give yourself a bit more fun, adventure, not thinking about the future so much, but living in the moment, in the here and now. That is what attracted you to this person, because they allowed you to do that. And they seemed to be on board with that in the beginning of the relationship. Now, the aim and the intention of this person, this narcissist that you attracted, though, however, they were going to be fickle with their emotions. They were going to play hot and cold, moving in and out of the relationship. Sometimes they were a bit emotionally confusing in the way they communicated themselves, or they just didn't communicate their emotions altogether. This left you scratching your head a bit. This left you wondering exactly what you had done wrong in certain situations. They wanted to come off as kind of being flirty and, initially reeling you in with being almost like childlike and slightly immature. But then you realize that immaturity actually stemmed into a lot of other areas in their life, and then it became kind of a bit more difficult to ascertain or to control. So for you, it was important that you saw this initially, so that way you can understand that, what was on the surface was more like the iceberg. So there was a small bit of it out, exposed to the open, and then there was a large, large iceberg underneath everything, which was the full extent of this person's subconscious, undertakings. So then we move into the codependency between the two of you. Now, the codependency is one of the more important cards for you to look at, because this shows you where the cycle continued and how to break it. So you have the Three of Cups. And for you, I kind of perceive this as you were a person who was looking for fun, excitement, adventure. You wanted someone that you could belong with. You wanted a soul tribe. You wanted someone that you felt could offer their cup to you in the spirit of celebration of life. And to be honest with you, you seeking out this fun and excitement through these means did not really allow you to do those on your terms. You were always on someone else's terms. You were always on their terms, dealing with, okay, we're going to have fun this way, but it's going to be on my terms. Okay, I'll go along with it. And it's kind of like just trying to fit in. I think you just really wanted a relationship where you fit in and you felt that the person was reciprocating that energy. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, because you then started to lose yourself in that relationship. You wanted to reconcile yourself with the self of the other person. And unfortunately, you lost yourself altogether. It was no longer really a relationship about equal give and take, I feel. It was more about, we'll share our cups, but you're going to drink from what's in my refrigerator or what's in my cellar. So you felt that you had to depend on the other person for your happiness and your fun times, rather than building those on your own terms on a new foundation. Now, the codependency on the narcissist side that you dealt with was the 8 of Swords. This is a person that lives inside their head. They're unable to make decisions. They're unable to see reality for what it is. Rather, what they do is they tend to rely on their inner world of confusion, of assumptions, of lies and deception, self-deception even. And they do this often with the intent of keeping themselves stuck. And there's no specific reason why they do it. It's just what they're accustomed to doing. This person here is not tightly bound. This is like a miniature devil energy. This person is not tightly bound to what they're feeling in their own mind. And all they have to do is take the blindfold off, take off the loose bandages, and then they could escape. But they choose not to. This is a person that lives perpetually in fear, insecurity, isolation, and who is unwilling to look to the outside world, to the external world, to validate truth. Instead, they choose to look into their inner world. And I was actually looking at something from Professor Sam Vaskins, who was talking a little bit about this in one of his podcasts. He said that, when a narcissist, they tend to invalidate the external world by focusing their energy on the internal world. And they don't actually accept. They actually rebel against the external world through their own blindness. They willfully reject the external world in order for them to live up to the delusions of grandeur or the fantasy that they have created for themselves, so that they can avoid getting hurt. And that perfectly exemplifies the 8 of Swords in this particular card reading. So, moving on, we move to the coping tactic that you would actually use in this particular situation, in this particular relationship. So you had the 4 of Pentacles reverse. For you, I feel that in this specific relationship, what you did is you gave up too easily. Whatever it was that you valued, that you wanted to hold on to, you gave it up for the collective. That was the problem in all of this. You gave up your money, your time, your energy, your resources. You did not hold on to these things. All the things that you thought were dear and near and dear to you, you were willing to sacrifice that throughout the entire relationship, and you found yourself doing everything for this person. And it seemed to me that this person never really invested in you the same way that you invested in them. And you began to feel this, and it began to put you into a lack mentality, I would actually say. Because after you lose these 4 of Pentacles, that will put you in the 5 of Pentacles energy. Look at all the Pentacles on your side. This is the lesson you have to learn, the 7 of Pentacles. This is how you initially enter the relationship. The 10 of Pentacles reverse. The 4 of Pentacles. 10 minus 4 is 6. 6 of Pentacles. That's giving and taking equally in a relationship. Time, money, value, resources. This is what should have taken place in the relationship, but unfortunately it did not. What instead happened, you had the 10 plus the 4. That equals 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. That is the 5 of Pentacles. That is what happened. You felt alone, isolated. You felt like the victim because you were giving away everything that you had in your relationship to feed the energy here, to feed the delusions that you are being placed into by a person who cannot see past their own nose. Now, the abuse tactics here was the Seven of Wands reversed. Now, looking at this, normally in the Seven of Wands upright, you see a person who is defending what they believe in. But in the reverse, it's making them give up. This is what they made you do as an abuse tactic. So what they did is they said, what you believed didn't matter. You're just making things up. They would do whatever they could to gaslight you into believing that your values were not worth fighting for, and that's when you gave everything up. That was your way to cope with the challenge of this narcissistic, trauma bond. And so what they would say to you, they would say, oh, that's not what I said. They gaslit you. Oh, well, that's not what I meant to say. You're just being too sensitive. They did whatever they could to make you feel as if that your values, the things that you thought were dear, the truths that you knew, all of that was irrelevant. And they forced you to give up the fight by stealth. Because normally in the upright, this is done by force. In the reverse, I would say it's by stealth, by losing the energy needed to continue defending yourself. This is an important lesson for you because this is something that you will need to take into the future as to how you preserve your own value systems in the future. This is what a Taurus represents. It's not just a person who's crazy about money or about time or energy, things like that. But it's also the Taurus knows what they value. This is represented by the second house. Moving right along, when you pulled away from the relationship, the thing that you did the most was you dug your heels in and you refused to budge. Classic Taurus energy. And the specific energy is characteristic of Taurus. You just said, when they wanted you to do something, you said, no, I'm not budging. When they wanted you to spend a certain amount of money, no, I'm not spending that money. When they wanted you to do something specific, you said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm keeping my heels dug firmly on this pasture. I'm not budging. And that is precisely how you began to distance yourself from this person. That was the initial way that you were able to set boundaries with this person, is by refusing to move forward with anything they wanted. Now, how this manifested in the hoovering tactic or the control tactic to keep you locked into this narcissistic cesspit. The person that you were dealing with then began to gaslight even more. They began to confuse you. They began to emotionally manipulate you using that King of Cups energy that was in the center as the relationship progressed. You have the Seven of Cups plus that King of Cups reverse. It's the Eight of Cups that eventually forced you to walk away from the relationship. You saw that the person was gaslighting you. You saw that they weren't offering you anything of substance, even if they tried to present multiple options to you. It is also possible that this person began to explore other options behind your back, and that it was difficult for you to see through the fog. Maybe they were coming home a bit later than normal. Normally they would come home and say they were working on a project, but they were doing whatever they could to confuse and manipulate you so that you could stay. Because that is the prison that this person lives in. This is the codependency that they're faced with. Blindness, confusion, illusion, lack of progressive action towards removing the obstacles that they have placed on themselves. And now they're trying to bind you to that same energy, which is something that you saw and that you began to then do this. Cutting it out. This is how you protected yourself from this narcissistic abuse. Once you had extricated yourself from the relationship. And if you haven't done so, this is what you need to do right now. The Queen of Swords is a person who sets boundaries. They allow themselves to hear the information the person needs to present to them. And then after that, they then say, please, you can present this energy, you can present these words, but I see the truth because my head is above the clouds and I'm not restricted in my view. And if you tell me a lie, if you tell me what I don't already know, you're getting cut out with this truth, the Ace of Swords, that she's holding. That is precisely what you did. In order to protect yourself from that, you set firm, strict boundaries with this person. If you had to move, away, if you had to extricate yourself from the relationship, when the person tried to come back in and hoover you with all of these gaslighting tactics, what you did instead is you set firm boundaries with that person, dug your heels in even further with this Chariot reversed, which was the tactic you used in order to extricate yourself from the relationship initially. When the person would use emotional manipulation, guilt tripping, things of that nature, you did not care. You just shut down and you stopped feeding it any energy. You would not allow this to move forward any further than it would. So, of course, the person responds by discarding. They see that you're the Chariot reverse, so they become the High Priestess. So then they begin keeping secrets from you. They begin staying out later. They begin refusing to speak to you. They stay in their corner of the house. They don't want to offer you anything. You are now no longer even roommates. You are two souls trapped in this purgatory. You can even see that you're on one side of the house, the other person's on the other side of the house, holding up the entire house like columns, polar opposites being stuck in the same presence. And both of you, the thing is that with the High Priestess, is that both of you know the truth about this relationship. The truth is being represented by the pomegranates in the background. Those are the secrets to the cosmos and the universe. So I think that the two of you, when this relationship began to fall apart, both of you knew that it was time. The both of you knew what the nature of this relationship was. And as this woman or this man begin to keep their secrets from you and begin to become completely mute, not speaking, not communicating at all, it was because they knew their tactics were failing. Finally, we have closing the cycle. And by closing the cycle, we come to the Emperor reverse. Normally, the Emperor likes to be in control. They're seen as an authority figure. They're seen as a person who is a bit bossy at times. They command people to do things that they need them to do. To close this cycle, you have to give up control. You have to give up control of the universe. You have to give up control to the universe, actually. Because if you look here, the Emperor is the same person in the Chariot as they are here. So in the Chariot, they're being driven by the forces of the universe, represented by the two sphinxes here, of opposite colors, positive and negative. And then the Emperor sits on his throne, again with two animals, representing the ability, the fire, the passion they need to actually rule their kingdom, representing all the four kings together. With his iron scepter, of course, or his gold scepter in this one. You're now actually taking that energy and you're putting it on its head. To break this cycle, you had to give up control. The same way the Chariot gives up control to the universe to guide itself forward, you gave up control to extricate yourself from the relationship, to leave the relationship. And I think that it was important that you did that, rather than focusing so much on giving all your control to this person. You allowed the universe to step in, and you allowed it to take away control from both of you, so that way you could then move on with your life outside of the relationship. Now, hopefully in the future, what you'll do is you'll become the emperor of your own life, rather than giving up your happiness and control to other people, third parties. And potentially what this could even represent is the fact that in codependency, this Three of Cups could actually represent third parties getting involved in your lifestyle. Maybe other people said, oh, this is a great person, you need to stay with them. Why would you leave them? You were listening to other people rather than listening to your own intuition. So it's almost like effectively there's a mirror image right here. You're giving up your control to third parties. They're giving up control to their delusions. They're going inward to do that. You're going externally to do that. Both of you are losing your power and becoming codependent to the very forces that are keeping you stuck. It's time for you now to pull back and actually, again, find out what's worth investing in. Because by doing that, only then can you have a fulfilling life, whether that is inside of a relationship or outside of a relationship. Think long about that. You're the Taurus, and you are an investor. Find out what is worth those 7 of Pentacles for you, and you'll eventually get to the 10 of Pentacles. I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all that I wanted to speak about today. Well, once again, this has been Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining today. If you like what you've read, or if you like the reading here, please give a like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully this has been of some use to you in whatever, particular, way possible. Also, if you like a personal reading, please reach out to me at the description box below. And thank you so much for your time and attention. I do appreciate it. I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much and take care. Hope this is helpful. Bye now.